Warning, listening to this show may result in increased levels of inspiration, motivation, and innovation. Side effects can include the immediate urge to take massive action to build a better business and life for yourself and others. You've been warned. Welcome to Influencers Radio with your host, Jack Mize.
And welcome back to Influencers Radio. Today, a lot of times people in marketing, and particularly people that are really focused on internet. If you focus on the internet, if you're in the marketing on the internet, sometimes we have blinders on and think about, the whole world understands what it is. But what I love is talking to people that help very specific types of businesses with their online marketing, because there's always these little variables and these little nuances that you don't think about, that, the person that is selling, a restaurant that does online marketing is going to have a little bit different than the veterinarian that's doing online marketing. And so today we have on a very, very experienced person that specializes in helping the chiropractic industry with their online marketing. And I'm always, fascinated with the whole chiropractic industry. We've had chiropractors on the show, and the way that the marketing is done is sometimes kind of surprising. And also you learn about the differences between what service providers think their prospects understand versus what prospects really understand, what the consumers and kind of how that comes together. And so our guest today understands that and how to put that together, particularly with online marketing and social media. In fact, she is known as the social media queen to chiropractors. My guest today is Stephanie Beck. She's also a best-selling author of the book Social Misalignment: The Chiropractor's Guide to Marketing Online. Stephanie, welcome to Influencers Radio.
Hi, Jack. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Very good. So, the social media queen, that is, that says a lot, I think. And that's not a title that you gave yourself. That's one that's been given to you, to chiropractors. Yeah. And I don't, so when we say queen, that automatically implies something a little bit more than your typical, online marketing agency, because you're asked to speak at conferences around the country. You are asked to provide training to a lot of the bigger organizations in the chiropractic industry. So you do more than just kind of hang your shingle out and help chiropractors with websites, right?
Correct. Yeah. I have, next year lined up, there's over 6 speaking gigs at conferences, teaching, chiropractic assistant tracks on the East Coast, and then on the West Coast, there's 6 or 7 gigs. I don't know for sure how many. I mean, I do. They're in my schedule. I don't have it in front of me, but for on the West Coast. So I'm going to be doing a lot of coast-to-coast teaching next year, so actually starting in November.
So that tells me there's a lot of chiropractors.
Yes.
So
we have,
here's what I want to find out to get in the, because, we know about, websites and the Facebook and Google and all of that. What I want to find out is kind of what's going on inside the heads of chiropractors, particularly because I just over the last year, actually began seeing a chiropractor. It's something I never really considered until I had an issue, and then I went in to see him, and it was much different than I had anticipated. You think about chiropractors as, well, they're back crackers, right? I'm going to get my back cracked, kind of like I'm a big 6 foot tall knuckle that gets to get a pop there. And while there was some aspects on it, I was really impressed and intrigued with the knowledge of the whole, anatomy they had, and also the things that chiropractors could help me with outside of just my back pain. Right. That's all I associated with. And so I'm an average consumer. When I thought about chiropractor, I thought of, the guy that you go and get your back right. But it opened up a whole new world of what was available that I probably wouldn't have known, because when I was looking for chiropractors, I was looking online, I was looking on Facebook. there was very little that actually explained to me what it was. It was a bunch of chiropractors saying, hey, pick me. I'm the best. And I have this certification. I've been through this training and I can do this. And it was really all about them. And it was very tough to find chiropractors that actually explained what they could do and talked about my problems. And that seems to be exactly what you do. You're more than a technical person that puts this stuff into place. You actually help your chiropractic clients, which I think is what has had got you bestowed the name of Queen, because it's not just about giving them a platform. You actually help them craft their message and understand how to use social media to be able to bring people in and speak to consumers and prospects different than most of their competitors do. So I want to start right there. And when, what do you see as the problem that a lot of chiropractors or the people that when you come on and bring them on as a client, or if you're speaking at some of these trainings, that what is their mindset initially? Is it that, how do I convince people I'm the best chiropractor? And you have to kind of get them to have a little bit different view on that, and really about how to educate people on what's available?
Sure. I think one of the biggest, we call them social adjustments we make, because obviously a chiropractor makes adjustments to the spine to have, healthy receptions and healthy responses. So what we do is we take that misalignment, as far as thinking that, okay, they relate it to running ads in newspapers or radios or magazine articles, right? Because they're used to doing that. They're used to buying AdWords on Google and investing thousands, in some cases into that. But what we have to do is relate it back to making adjustments and saying, look, social media is not something that is going to automatically equal patients or sales dollars for you. This is not an advertising forum. This is a social forum. This is about building relationships. This is where you really get to educate people on the benefits, how it relates to them. Look at it from your patient's eyes. And most people, just like you, come to see a chiropractor when the first thing they think of is when they have something out of place. So it's a pain response. So they're coming in, they're in that chronic pain, or, they're wanting an immediate result. And one of the things that chiropractors, I think one of the biggest struggles is that patient retention, getting them from patient pain management, making it into a health care management system, and keeping the patient, that building that relationship with them so that they make it a priority and that they are continuing to realize the benefits. Well, social media helps with that. It can absolutely help you make those connections across the board, and with those patients, it's easy to get referrals, when it's set up properly. And so teaching them this little bit of a mind shift when, like I said, it's like making an adjustment, and we call it a social adjustment to get away from that. Sure.
It sounds like, that's one of the probably one of the most valuable things that you do, because you're right. I always thought of a chiropractor that you went to when something was wrong. Right. And it never even crossed my mind that a chiropractor is someone to go to make sure things stay right. It's similar to the dentist. If you just went to the dentist when your tooth hurt, you'd probably be in a pretty big mess of trouble. Right. You go there for maintenance. And I never thought of a chiropractor as maintenance. And it sounds to me like that's where a lot of chiropractors are missing, is the ability to have patients that come back, not just when something hurts or when they're in pain, but to maintain that chiropractic health, so they can avoid, some of that pain or most of that pain, in the future. And, when you explain that to me, that's when I had, okay, now I understand why you're the social media queen, because, that's what you help them do, is educate people in a very kind of non-direct salesy way around that chiropractic health, so that they understand that kind of thing is available. Is that something that is tough for the chiropractors to get their head around, or do they get that V8 moment where they're like, oh my gosh, I get it, I understand, I never thought of it that way?
Oh, I think when somebody explains it to them, then they get it. And not only just it talks about, because there's a lot of people who say, are building on the social and the relationship building side of it. But we take it a step further and talk to them about their processes, because the whole social platform is a huge wealth of leads, prospects available to them, and worked the right way, it can really build your email list. But if they don't have the proper processes on the back end and a good social strategy for getting those people, funneling them from social media onto an email list, and then cultivating that relationship and building it. And, there's a lot of, and then it circles back to social media, because of course people are providing testimonials and referrals. And so it becomes this whole, we call it a know, like, trust relationship cycle. So it builds within itself and continues to funnel those people back through. Because, chiropractic in general is a natural form of healthcare, but it just uses spinal adjustments to correct the misalignments and restore proper function. So basically you're take that same theory, that same description, and apply it to their social media when I'm talking about making those social adjustments and getting the right messages so that you get this healthy response, and then we can build this whole healthcare, or in this case, social, the right social response they're looking for.
Right. So, just like a lot of medical professionals, and actually a lot of business owners in general, chiropractors would, you'll go in there, you get your adjustment, you get them to look at, what's wrong, and then you fill out the little card and they say, thank you. Let us know if you have any more problems, right?
Right.
And that's exactly what you do. You never talk to them again until you have a problem. And it's very tough to refer chiropractors, because, even though many people like to say, if somebody said, oh, my back, I need a good chiropractor, people love to say, oh yeah, well, mine is the greatest. I know this guy. I know this lady. They're really good. But when you take that to social media, the ability to share and refer and recommend people with a click of the mouse probably takes that ability to refer, makes it just exponentially more powerful than, here's the card. We'll send you a postcard in a few months to let people know. Right. So what is it that you've seen that when they do this right happens, as far as, their referral base, when they educate on social media? Because it's easy for someone to share a post or something by a doctor that educates someone around, well, if this is occurring, perhaps this may be the issue. And people like to share that stuff. It's much easier to share that than the little postcard you get in the mail, right?
Absolutely. And don't get me wrong, every chiropractor who starts off, from the student graduating and they've hung out their shingle, or they get in with another practice, their startups are going to be, their practice is going to start as a pain management practice. And what practice management is, teaches them is how to, looking at their numbers, looking at their figures, their patient values, at the end of the, how many patients were they seeing on a, on the frequent basis. And, chiropractors want to be focused, transitioning from that pain management practice to a healthcare management practice, where it, and getting their patients, walking their patients through. And if they don't have the right system in place, on I call it the back end, but the office portion, if that's not set up properly, then, social media can just keep bringing them leads. Absolutely. But we also make sure that they have these systems in place that the retention is there, the patient retention is there.
Right.
Does that
So
make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And so you talked about new chiropractors. When someone first starts their practice, pain management is kind of the where they're going to build it from. People that are coming to them with problems rather than maintenance. So, what is it? Have you found that's easier? If you started working with a chiropractor that says, I've been in this for a little while. That's how I built my practices through pain management. Now I'm ready to really take advantage. What is easier, or should I say the path of least resistance? Is it in getting their current patients converted and educated about the maintenance side of it, or is it to use social media to go after newer prospects that perhaps haven't been aware of them?
Well, the beauty of social media is taking that gold mine, the money left on the table, those patients who have received the treatment, connecting with them in a personal matter, continuing the education side, or, creating those social contests and different things on social media to get them re-engaged. And because each person on social media has an average of 100 friends. So when you can start connecting with those people and those people who already know, like, and trust you, now developing that relationship even more, that can sometimes be a faster build than trying to, because we all know the marketing rule, which is the most expensive customer is the new one, that you have to get all the time. So we focus on, what's available, what's that low-hanging fruit, what kind of money do we have laying on the table that we can reconnect to them, and then how do we best strategize and optimize those relationships to have them be pulling in more patients for us. Because the other thing I've noticed is that doctors, especially in a more established practice, they are extremely busy, and they don't have time. Their chiropractic assistants, they're booked, with so many hours per week. So the more automated, the more ways that we can show them how, a lot of it goes by planning and organizing and incorporating their social media into their other marketing. Because they're already doing other marketing, but social media can help explode that even more. So, getting them to realize this, I'm not talking about spending hours on the computer. We refine that down. So we do some time management practices. We make sure that their systems are connecting in the right way, and try to automate it as much as possible. So again, we're not, the focus here is not to spend hours on social media, but it is to have the best time spent on social media so that they can maximize the results.
And obviously, that's something that very difficult to do, just throwing darts at the wall, right? Trying to figure out how to do that. And so you have a purposeful plan on putting that type of strategy together. So what do you see with chiropractors? Because obviously some of the biggest chiropractors in the industry and the heads of these associations get it. They see what you're doing and the benefits that you provide. What is it that a lot of chiropractors may not see or may not realize that, when you kind of unfold that for them, that it's a whole different world or strategy than they thought of? Because you talked about how they were first about going after, the new patients and all about me, that they thought of it about as advertising and commercial. What do you think is the biggest misconception they have around that, and that they didn't realize, that there's this powerful aspect out there that they hadn't considered when using social media?
Absolutely. Well, a couple right off the bat that I think of were some big speaker names that we've had. Dr. Fabrizio Mancini, he's a guest speaker. Most everybody in the chiropractic industry knows him, especially if you're out here on the West Coast. And, I was talking to him to use the 80-20 rule. We call it simple social math. And explaining to him that 80% of the time, making those educational and informational updates, and then 20% of the time making them promotional, about their business and how to connect with them. And he'd never heard that before. So he was doing obviously he's a public speaker, but it was just so simple. So I said, 3 posts a day, 7 days a week is 21 posts. 20% of that is approximately 4 posts. So 4 out of the 21 posts for that week can be about your practice. And just giving him that really simple math, there was such clarity in it, and now and consistency for him. Like, one of the things, because he's so busy and he was speaking and traveling all over, he wasn't always being consistent with his messaging. And on social media, things move so quickly. You have to be making several posts a day. When I say several, I say, 3 posts a day minimum on Facebook alone just will make a big difference on those pages. And there's hundreds of chiropractic pages I find on a daily basis that, tumbleweeds are rolling across the page. They've made a post and then never come back again. And I think a lot of chiropractors get discouraged because they start a page brand new. There's not any fans on it. They make a couple of posts, no engagement happens, and they walk away because they're like, oh, great, this is pointless. They've got patients coming in the door. They've got daily tasks. They've got different things they have to take care of. And just getting them to realize that, it's building. You have to build a relationship, having a conversation with them on a regular basis. And so that has really made a tremendous change with Dr. Fab and his messaging. The other thing, we had Dr. Buckley, who does Hole in Your Diploma out here on the West Coast. And with him, he was just like, okay, Stephanie, I'm making my 3 posts a day. I said, great. And I went to his page and I said, Doc, he goes, yeah, I'm making them 7 a.m. I go in early. I make them all at the very first thing in the morning. And then I'm busy with patients all day long. And I'm like, but Doc, let's think about that. Think this through from a patient perspective. You've got over 1,000 followers, and yes, you're posting 3 posts 7 a.m. in the morning, but what if you spread those out and scheduled them? And I showed him how he can schedule them with a free tool just on Facebook. And I said, your patient's working all day. He or she comes home at night, gets on the computer. It's 5 or 6 or 7 o'clock at night after they put the kids to bed, and our guy got through dinner, and your posts from 7 a.m. are going to be buried in the newsfeed, if you think about it, because there's millions of updates no matter which social media you choose, Google+, LinkedIn, and most people are only going to be on for about 15, 20 minutes max, probably more like 10 to 11 minutes per day. And if it's not in that top feed of the top 1 or 2 pages of the newsfeed, they're probably not even going to see it. So that was like a huge aha moment for him, because he got the message to do multiple posts, but he thought if he just posted them all when he had time to do it, which was good. I was glad he was doing it, but we just taught him how to schedule them out. And so now his engagement level has gone up because he now schedules them at 7 a.m. because that's the way he likes to do it. That's cool. And he's also planned out the whole week of, in other words, he knows that Mondays are going to be articles, videos, and quotes. Tuesdays are going to be something else. Wednesday, and so he doesn't have to think about it. And the content he already has, he uses Amplified Life, and it works really well for him. But it has made his day so much easier and so much quicker. He's now actually able to do more with social media. He's expanded it to Google Plus and LinkedIn and Twitter. So it's really cool when you can help them out and they see the results. He's now seeing over 100 patients, and it's been really, really good for his practice. So.
Well, that's what I want to find out definitely before we wrap up is we talk about social media as being this thing, right? This big thing, but it's really made up of different components. And I know a lot of people think about Facebook, but what are the different social media components that you would suggest chiropractors use if they're first putting this stuff together? Facebook seems like it'd be the obvious place to start, but things like LinkedIn, Twitter, Google Plus can be powerful. What would be the priority of those?
That's a great question. We're asked that question all the time, and one of the questions I always ask back are, who is your ideal patient? Who are you trying to connect with? I mean, obviously Facebook with over 1 billion users daily on it is one of the largest, and they pretty much have the full gamut of different types of people with different interests. So Facebook, if you're not familiar with social media, Facebook's a great place to start. Pinterest has been up and coming, and I share with people demographics. I say, on Pinterest, you've got women who are 35 and older, who have some education, whose income is $55,000 to $99,000, and they're, that's 82% of the people on Pinterest are going to Pinterest. They have over 1 million, pin places on Pinterest. I mean, it is quickly growing, but that only works if you have a very visual type of message that you want to share. Not all chiropractors think in that terms. So we have specific strategies for Pinterest to help them, because a lot of times they do have retail products and different ways that you can use Pinterest, especially if that's their ideal, if that's some of the demographic of their ideal patient. That may be a place to consider. Twitter, of course, is the big giant, I think, against Facebook. And there are people who like Facebook typically hate Twitter, and vice versa. People love different types of social media. So you can, for me, it would be Facebook, Twitter. Google Plus is something to not be ignored just from SEO value, search engine optimization. And most of chiropractors have done or invested into search engine, they're investing money into AdWords. And there's specific strategies they can use for Google Plus that are free that can help them tremendously, from an SEO aspect. And, like I said, Pinterest is something to definitely look at. But again, for the right strategy, LinkedIn, I get asked that question all the time. And I say, 15, 20 years of sales experience, I know how difficult it is sometimes to get through that gatekeeper. So if a chiropractor is trying to make a corporate connection with a corporate contract and getting to that decision maker, getting past the phone calls and trying to get emails responded to, these vice presidents and senior management staff that they can talk to about the contract, can be a challenge. But guess what? All of those people are on LinkedIn. And it's really them. It's not somebody else managing it. Like on Facebook, they can go to the company page, but it may not be the decision maker who's managing it. So even from that standpoint can be a little bit of a hurdle. But on LinkedIn, again, applying a specific strategy to approach them, and this isn't a sales pitch time, this is time to make connections. And doing it the right way, you can gain some really nice contracts. But that's why I have to find out what is their specific marketing strategy. What is it that they want to achieve in their practice, and then we can define and customize that social media strategy around it to best help them.
So it's not cookie cutter for everyone. There's a little bit of variance. Just like, I guess, if patients, they don't do the same thing to every patient that comes in. There's obviously different pain points, and there's different issues that need to be addressed. And there's ways. But if someone was doing nothing right now, Facebook would be the one that you would suggest starting with if they just had nothing?
Yeah, I would. Most people are the most familiar with it, even if they're not doing anything with it with their practice. I would say 90% of the time they have a personal account, or someone within their family or within their practice has a personal account. So.
Perfect. All right. Stephanie Beck, SRV Solutions, the book, best-selling book, Social Misalignments, The Chiropractor's Guide to Marketing Online. I want to thank you for joining us on Influencers Radio today and helping chiropractors educate people about the things they do besides cracking back. It certainly is beneficial to all. So thank you very much for being on. Is there, if they want to find out more about Stephanie and SRV Solutions, what can they do? Well,
I would say one of the first things is to set up a marketing strategy. It's free. It's a 30-minute strategy session. If they go to My Social Misalignments, chiropractors.com, they can sign up for a free 30-minute marketing session. And it's just a conversation. It's not a sales pitch. It's just, we need to have that conversation. If you're serious about moving forward with your social media and how it can help your practice, then, this is the way to get it done.
Perfect. All right. Well, there it is, folks. Check it out. The book, Social Misalignment, The Chiropractor's Guide to Marketing Online. We'll put a link on our show post there for folks that want to take advantage of that marketing strategy session. And really, whether you're a chiropractor or any kind of health professional or really any kind of business, a lot of this can apply to you. And it's just a matter of, getting it started, understanding that the social media is about building the relationships, and there's different ways to do it depending on your market and the way that you put content out there. So fantastic stuff. Folks, there you have it. Stephanie Beck, SRB Solutions. Until next time, remember, you are the only real game changer.
You've been listening to Influencers Radio. To get all past shows and updates on future shows, visit influencersradio.com today or follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/influencersradio.